fact, I remember after the presidential election, she and Joe Scarborough did a segment where Joe Scarborough was shocked at the price of butter. He's like, oh my God, $8? $8 for a stick of butter? Yeah, Joe, where have you been, homeboy? And it's because they're unbothered, they're untouched by the disastrous policy decisions and some of the economic issues that riddled Biden's term.
Ana Kasparian is truly going scorched earth on the woke left. She's now even going after MSNBC host for saying that Biden would win and many other things that these woke MSNBC hosts were saying that really drug the left wing down, and Ana Kasparian still is a left winger. At least she said so. At least, she identifies as one, even though that most of her beliefs do not align with the rest of the left wing anymore. But Ana Kasparian still tries to make the left wing better. The problem is none of them want to get better. They don't think that they have a problem. But like I said, Ana Kasparian is now going after the woke left entirely. Let's get into this clip here where Ana Kasparian destroys this woke MSNBC host for his ridiculous takes.
Everyone knows how I feel. I made it very clear after the debate that I thought he should continue. But that was not what most people wanted. So, but Joe Biden is the kind of person who pulls himself up from rock bottom, and I think he could have stumbled into it. I really do.
That was a video clip from Case Study QB, who watches cable news and clips out the relevant moments so you don't have to watch it. So thank you for that. But last week, Mika Brzezinski admitted that she thinks that Joe Biden could have stumbled his way into a second term had he remained in the 2024 presidential race. Now, you heard a small portion of why she thinks that. Maybe she makes a better point with fuller context involved. So let's take a look.
People responded very badly when he beat Trump during that campaign to Trump bullying him or going after his remaining son. People stood up for Joe Biden because they knew who he was. They know who he is. And I think an aging Joe Biden is very self-aware about that. And so is his team around him. And he's still 10 times more qualified than what we've got. And he's qualified to manage the world stage. I think after that disastrous debate, he did a news conference. Remind me, Lemire, was it the NATO summit?
Yeah, a couple weeks later. NATO summit was
at
Washington.
8 at night. And yep, he got names wrong. Yep, he had to correct himself a few times, but his knowledge of world affairs was in depth and clear. People chose to, filters instead of reality, which was his good president who has historic presidency, who was able to beat Donald Trump. End of story.
Based on Joe Scarborough's facial expression as Mika Brzezinski is talking.
If you enjoy content like this, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
I am about as convinced as he is in the points that she's making. I don't know, maybe I'm totally misreading his face, but he seems like he's not buying it at all.
Yeah.
I certainly am not buying it at all. Biden's internal polling, his campaign's internal polling showed him losing 400 electoral college votes.
Well, look, his face is probably grimacing because he's like, no, Mika, we're now kissing Trump's ass. Remember, we shifted. So we'll get to Joe in a second. But there was so many great things in that little clip. He could have stumbled into it, she said. Wow, that really is compelling. That maybe your preferred candidate, who is in obvious mental decline, could have accidentally stumbled into the presidency again. What a compelling case. Well, I mean, he did so great at that NATO summit press conference. I mean, he forgot a bunch of names and a lot of other things that had to be corrected later. But no one understands, but he had such a great command of foreign policy. Isn't that table stakes if you're running for president? I mean, I know it isn't lately. Trump barely knows foreign policy, and Biden's foreign policy was, Israel, what should I write in the blank check I'm about to send you for slaughtering Palestinians? Oh, by the way, that'll make me deeply, deeply unpopular, as a poll that we just shared with you guys shows. Only 20% of Americans liked his policy towards Israel. And among the young, it was under 10%. So, wow, what command of foreign policy. Okay, so it just, every part of this is comical, but the most hilarious part was when she said that people chose filters instead of reality. You're the filter, Mika. You're the filter who is detached from reality. His own advisor said 0% chance of winning, 0% but that's reality. But Mika's filter is, oh, so if you add another 1 and another 0, that gets to 100%. So Biden would have won. Biden would have won. No, you're the ludicrous filter.
Yeah, look, Biden suffering from mental.
That's why woke media is dying. That's why mainstream media is dying. But also it's why I think these two sides will just never come to terms with each other. Like, that's why I'm just black-pilled on the whole thing, on the whole political situation, the cultural situation of America. People are just so, they're just so on the opposite sides of the spectrum, man. And it just seems like it's getting further and further apart. You know, there might be some people who cross over to our side, and then, you know, it feels like we're winning and Donald Trump wins the election. He wins the popular vote. And it seems like the culture is shifting, and then they're going to find a way. They're going to do something. They're going to lock us down again. They're going to turn everybody against Donald Trump. They're going to turn everybody against the right wing. And people can just be manipulated so easily, man. Like the brainwashing can just happen so quickly. And there's a few people out there who are able to not get brainwashed, and, you know, people honestly like Ana Kasparian and I guess Cenk. I still think he's disingenuous with his kind of turn towards supporting Trump a bit more and calling out the leftists. But people like Ana Kasparian, people like Joe Rogan, people like Russell Brand, who used to be, you know, they used to be left wingers, and now they're kind of pushed out because they just didn't change and the left wing went crazy to the left. But people are so easily manipulated now that I think they're just going to be able to manipulate people against Donald Trump, and then the culture will just swing back the other way, whether it's next election cycle or the one after that. It doesn't matter. It's going to swing back the other way. And I think it's just going to keep doing that. It's just going to keep swinging and swinging and swinging, because people, like I said, they can just be manipulated so easily, man. It's just so easy, genuinely.
Decline as he was in the top political post in the country, the most powerful position, certainly in the United States, but most powerful position worldwide. Let's keep it real. She was okay, right? Like, her audience is there. It's not impacting her cushy life negatively in any way, shape, or form. Inflation, what inflation? Inflation is just totally unbothered by that. In fact, I remember after the presidential election, she and Joe Scarborough did a segment where Joe Scarborough was shocked at the price of butter. He's like, oh my God, $8? $8 for a stick of butter? Yeah, Joe, where have you been, homeboy? And it's because they're unbothered, they're untouched by the disastrous policy decisions and some of the economic issues that riddled Biden's term. And so while on one hand, I'm making a point about Joe Scarborough appearing to be confused by Mika's ridiculous points, in the next clip that we're about to watch, you'll see that Joe Scarborough seems to be befuddled about other things as well that he should not be befuddled by. Let's take a look.
I want to go to the debate, the night of the debate. Anybody that says to you they saw that coming is lying.
Okay, here's what I saw coming. Here's what I saw coming.
Did not see that coming.
In the 20 debate, Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders were waving their hands constantly, waving their hands at the camera. Let me talk. Let me interview. Let me do this. And all the time, Biden was sat there like a cigar store Indian or something. Why was he standing there doing nothing? He never participated in those debates. Maybe there's something about him and doesn't want to debate. I don't know what it is. And I don't know if we even the three of us can figure this out about Joe Biden and his decision about not wanting to debate. But he didn't debate in June.
Well, this is a question for historians, and I would love to. You know, everybody thinks there's this grand conspiracy. It was this grand conspiracy to hide him. You know, I did not see that.
What exactly is a cigar store Indian that Chris Matthews just made a reference to? What was that?
Yeah, so he makes such antiquated references. In the old days, they would have this. Anyway, I don't even want to explain it. Let's get to the
okay. Yeah, don't go ahead.
Yeah, so it's so funny that he kind of, there's the two statements that he made kind of explain what's wrong here. So first he says, if anyone told you that they saw Biden doing poorly in the debate and being in mental decline before the debate, they're lying. Now that's hilarious, right? Because half the country saw that Joe Biden was in mental decline and they thought he was going to do terrible in the debate, and they were right. Now, most of that was right wingers, and you can say they're biased, but it wasn't all right wingers. We thought he was going to do terrible in the debate. We thought he was in mental decline, and we said that about a year before the debate, and we were proven spectacularly correct, unfortunately. Okay.
Well, yeah, literally anybody is able to see that Joe Biden was a shell of a human being, and it was actually really sad. I'm glad we don't have to make fun of him and call it out anymore. I'm glad he's out of there. It was genuinely elder abuse, and I felt bad for the guy. I do. I think it's ridiculous that they really forced him into that position. He obviously, I mean, I don't think he had an original thought the entire time he was in office. It's amazing, and that is proof of what I'm saying. Americans are so easy, and just humans in general are just so easy to manipulate. They got manipulated into electing a person that's not even capable of forming a complete sentence. This man was pooping himself on stage as the president of the United States. They elected that person, and a lot of people wanted to re-elect that person. But Ana Kasparian and Cenk are correct about, these people, Joe Scarborough and these MSNBC hosts, they live so disconnected from reality, so it doesn't matter to them. The consequences of electing someone like Joe Biden, they're non-existent for people like that. They're existent for the average American, but not for people like Joe Scarborough and the rest of these MSNBC hosts. They don't even realize the consequences of electing someone like Joe Biden, because it's nothing to them. There is none. But it is going to be something to them if they keep electing people like that, because it's going to, whenever a ship is sailing, right, and you only point it a little bit to the left, yeah, in the short term, you don't see much of a change. It doesn't seem like you're going to much of a different spot. But if you spread that out over thousands of miles, you're going to end up in a completely different spot than when you originally charted the course. That's what's going to happen to America if we keep just going a little bit to the left and a little bit to the left and a little bit to the left. Eventually, 20, 30 years down the road, we're going to be an unrecognizable country where there's going to be no, there's going to be no two-parent households. There's going to be crazy immigration, no border, no checks at the border at all. Just everybody to come in freely. That's what's going to happen unless something changes. And luckily, something around this election cycle did change. But who knows what's going to happen later on? I mean, like I said, people could just swing back the other way with how easily people can be manipulated. Let me know in the comments, though, what you guys think about Ana Kasparian and Cenk Uygur calling out these woke idiots on MSNBC for their ridiculous takes.